The Salem Witch Trials, an event that rocked the United States colonies in the 17th century. At that time, belief in the existence of witches and the practice of magic dominated European society as well as Puritan America. People who are accused of being witches are considered to be working with the devil and can cause damage or disease. The Salem Witch Trials were one of the darkest chapters in United States history, demonstrating the impact that mass panic, legal injustice, and humanity's tendency to look for scapegoats in uncertain situations can have. This event also reflects how European cultural beliefs and influences at that time could shape the views of Puritan society in the United States. In this section, we will explore the outline of the Salem Witch Trials, including the historical context behind the witch belief, the events leading up to the trial, the controversial trial process, and the long-term impact it left behind. We will also explore the lessons that can be drawn from this event and its relevance to justice and freedom today. Let's begin exploring the Salem Witch Trials and understand the complexities and consequences inherent in these events that still teach us important lessons today. In the 17th century, belief in the existence of witches and the practice of witchcraft was widespread in Puritan European and American societies. There are several factors that play a role in strengthening this belief. Cultural heritage and beliefs. Views of witchcraft and wizards are already part of Europe's cultural heritage. Since the Middle Ages, the Christian churches have considered witchcraft a sin and associated it with collaboration with the devil. This view is widely held and passed down from generation to generation. The war against Satan. Belief in the existence of Satan and his evil powers was very strong during this time. Puritans in the United States believed they were in a spiritual battle against satanic forces. They regard witches as agents of Satan who want to destroy their society. Social unrest and uncertainty. During this period, Puritan European and American societies experienced social upheaval, cultural change, and political uncertainty. Disease, famine, war, and religious conflict added to social tensions. In this situation, the fear of witchcraft and witches becomes even greater, with people looking for causes and justifications for the problems they face. Influence of the Inquisition and witch trials in Europe. The European witch trials, especially during the Inquisition as in Spain and France, set the standard of law by which witch trials were tried. The methods of investigation and interrogation used, such as physical torture, were considered legal in obtaining confessions. The use of inconclusive evidence or confessions allegedly obtained under coercion became common practice. Such activity provides an example for the Salem witch trials on how to handle accusations against witches. Witch trials in Europe, which were reported in the mass media at that time, influenced the perception of the Puritan community in the United States. Although witchcraft cases in Europe have differing contexts and particular characteristics, the violence and fear associated with these trials made Puritan society in the United States more receptive to and adopt a similar approach in dealing with witch accusations. They saw trials and torture as effective methods of finding and punishing witches. Thus, the European witch trials provided legal guidance as well as influenced the culture that shaped the way Puritan society in the United States viewed witches. Their perceptions of witches and their approach to trying witchcraft accusations were inherited from European experiences and practices. In January 1692, the events that preceded the Salem witch trials occurred. Several teenage girls in Salem Village, such as Betty Paris and Abigail Williams, experienced seizures, hysteria, and medically unexplained strange behavior at the time. Fear and confusion gripped their community, and efforts were made to find the cause of this situation. In their search for answers, the girls begin to accuse certain women in their community of being witches who were responsible for their condition. These accusations involved several women, including Tituba, a slave from the Caribbean, Sarah Good, a destitute woman, and Sarah Osborne, a widow. The girls claim that they have allied themselves with the devil and practice witchcraft to their detriment. This accusation spread quickly in the Salem Village community. Fear and paranoia gripped the population, and accusations against witches mounted. People started noticing signs of witchcraft and suspicious behavior in other people around them. This situation created the climate that sparked the Salem witch trials. This early event shows how strong the anxiety and panic of the masses was in determining the direction of action in people's beliefs at that time. The charges brought by these teenage girls would form the basis of a series of controversial and tragic trials and confessions that followed in the following months in Salem. After allegations of witches began to spread in Salem Village, a local court was formed to investigate these cases. However, the investigations and trials that took place in the Salem Witch Trials case were marked by contentious proceedings and lacked clear legal standards. The Salem Witch Trials did not follow modern legal principles such as the presumption of innocence and the protection of individual rights. Weak and inconclusive evidence was often used to support accusations, and confessions allegedly obtained by force or extreme interrogation became the primary basis for convicting those accused. The methods of investigation and interrogation used included physical and psychological torture to obtain confessions. The suspects were treated harshly and coerced into admitting their involvement in practicing witchcraft. Such confessions are often taken as primary evidence, even if they are obtained under duress or when there is doubt as to their veracity. Several people who faced pressure and threats finally admitted to being witches and accused others. Confessions of this kind were used as evidence in trials. However, it is important to note that these confessions were often obtained through extreme methods of interrogation and physical or psychological torture. In a state of dread and panic, some innocent people may give false confessions to stop the torture they are experiencing. In addition, some of those who pleaded guilty have also accused others of being partners in the practice of witchcraft. These charges are used as additional evidence to convict the accused persons. Oh my God! The impact was significant, with 19 people being executed by hanging for being witches. In addition, one person died in detention due to poor conditions and inhumane treatment. Weak evidence, such as unreliable or speculative witness testimony, is also accepted as a basis for convicting someone. Excessive reliance on the testimony of children and people with a bad reputation also leads to injustice in court proceedings. This controversial trial resulted in a number of people being sentenced to death or imprisoned on charges of witchcraft, including by hanging. The trial reflects the failure of the legal system to provide fair justice and shows how factors such as mass panic, suspicion and social pressure can affect the legal process. In 1693, the Salem witch trials were stopped by the governor of the colony of Massachusetts because the public became increasingly concerned about the injustice that was happening. After this incident, the public began to realize that the judicial process was filled with mistakes and abuse of power. In 1711, the colonial government admitted wrongdoing in the Salem witch trials. They formally apologized for the injustice that had been done and admitted that accusations against those sentenced to death as witches were a mistake. This admission of wrongdoing marked a shift in public perception of the events of the Salem witch trials. People began to understand that the witch accusations were based on mass panic and flimsy evidence. They also realized that confessions obtained through torture could not be relied upon as valid evidence. This admission of guilt also reflected the colonial government's desire to improve the legal system and uphold the principles of justice. By admitting mistakes, they try to remove the stigma and restore the reputation of those who have been victims of injustice. In the context of the Salem witch trials, these resolutions and admissions of wrongdoing demonstrate the importance of reflection on and correction of decisions and actions that have negatively impacted individuals and society. This event also serves as a reminder to us that the legal system must be run according to the principles of fair justice and protect individual human rights. Although these resolutions and acknowledgments of mistakes are recent, they are important steps in confronting past mistakes and learning from them. The events of the Salem witch trials serve as a reminder for us to remain committed to justice, the principle of fair law, and avoiding abuse of power in the justice system. The Salem witch trials had a significant impact and provided many valuable lessons for the community. First, this event is a clear example of the dangers of mass hysteria or mass panic. Accusations of witches spreading rapidly in Salem Village demonstrate how fear and suspicion can fuel unfounded accusations and cause devastation for individuals and communities. This incident reminds us of the importance of evaluating information carefully, avoiding groupthink, and maintaining rational thinking in uncertain situations. Second, the Salem witch trials also revealed the legal injustice that occurred at that time. The court procedures that were carried out did not follow modern legal principles such as the presumption of innocence and the protection of individual human rights. Weak evidence and confessions obtained by force were often the basis for convicting those accused. From this incident, we learn that the justice system must be based on fair justice, ensure a transparent process, and protect individual rights. Additionally, the Salem witch trials influenced future thinking and legislation. This incident became one of the factors that prompted the separation of powers between church and state and understanding of religious freedom in the United States. This traumatic experience from the witch trials helped shape the belief that government should be free from religious interference and that every individual has the right to worship according to their own beliefs. In a wider context, the Salem witch trials serve as a reminder that past mistakes can teach valuable lessons. This event teaches us to study history, understand the root causes of injustice, and commit to preventing similar mistakes in the future. The Salem witch trials also remind us of the importance of upholding the principles of justice, tolerance and respect for human rights in our legal system and society. As part of a dark history, the Salem witch trials provided unforgettable teachings about the dangers of mass panic, the need for fair justice in the court system, and the importance of religious freedom and the separation of powers. We must continue to respect and learn from this tragic experience in order to build a more just, tolerant society based on the principles of justice, and ensure that similar incidents do not happen again.